Welcome into the Gridiron Grind. 3-3, Jimmy G. We're back for another week. Lots to talk about. Dallas Cowboys put a fork in them. They might be done.
Done. I'm with you, dude. We just can't play 4 good quarters in a row.
No, sure
Played
can't.
4 good quarters all season, but not in a row.
It is a bleak look for the Cowboys. We'll talk about that when we get to our NFL segment. We'll start off with college football. Last week, the biggest thing that happened, the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies defeated LSU. So A&M is now your sole leader in the SEC. No losses in conference.
How about that?
How about that? Who would have predicted that? New coach, Mike McCarthy, getting it done. That game was like a tale of two halves. LSU, I don't want to say dominated the first half, but we were well in control in the first half. I think it was 17-7 at halftime. And it looked like A&M's offense, there was no way they were going to be able to score 2 touchdowns to win that game. And then they make a quarterback change. Go to the Henderson kid, the freshman, midway through the third, into the third quarter. And then the pressure was finally got to Nussmeier at LSU. Those 3 interceptions in a row, and I think three possessions in a row, might have been like in span of 4 or 5 passes. And then A&M with the running game and the quarterback just boom, boom, boom. And before you blinked, A&M was in complete control, ended up a defining victory. What was it, like 38? Was it 38-17 or 38-14?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was multiple touchdowns.
And I said, Mike Elko channeled his inner Nick Saban. Mike
Sure
Elko
did.
made the tough decision that I don't know if a lot of coaches would have made. But hats off to Mike Elko going, okay, got Connor Wegman, we really like him, and he's just not getting it done, So he, like I said, he channels in Nick Saban, pulls the starter for the freshman, and ends up winning the dang thing. And I tell you what, I didn't think he looked that good against Arkansas. Man, he looked pretty dynamic against LSU. He was, I mean, the RPO, his ability, and then in the open field, like they couldn't bring him down. That was pretty impressive win by A&M
It really
to
was.
just take it over, because Wegman just wasn't getting it done, and that's I kind of like that guy, and clearly A&M does too. But I tell you, man, if you got that guy behind him, I think you gotta go with him from here on out. I mean,
Probably so. Like Wegman, when he came back from injury, he looked great against Missouri. I mean, really did. It might have been the best game he played in his 3 years at A&M. So part of me wonders if LSU was not prepared for the backup quarterback, Henderson, the running quarterback. He did complete 2 passes, I think, 2 or 3. One was a long one. It was a good pass, but it was mostly running the quarterback option read stuff. So part of me wonders if LSU just wasn't even prepared for it. A&M kind of caught him off guard with that quarterback change. So we'll see. I would expect A&M to go. That's the route they go moving forward. I think they have 4 games left. South Carolina, they're on the road this week. And if you've seen that spread, A&M's only favored by 2.5 at South Carolina. So Vegas is kind of telling you they anticipate a bit of a trap game. And like you said, it could be, this kid just caught lightning on a bottle against LSU, and maybe when he prepares for a week and a defense prepares for him, he's not as effective. But Texas A&M's in the driver's seat for the SEC. I mean, they control their own destiny. If A&M wins out, they will be in Atlanta playing in the SEC championship. Right now, there's 3 teams with 1 loss in the SEC, and that's Georgia, Texas, LSU. And I think there's 2 teams. Oh, and Tennessee. Is Tennessee in there? Tennessee's in there.
yeah,
But
because they're
Tennessee
lost
plays.
to us.
Their only losses to Arkansas. But Tennessee and Georgia play. I think in 2 weeks. Not this
Yeah,
week, next
this
week.
weekend's the world's largest outdoor cocktail
Florida,
party.
Georgia, yeah.
Georgia, Florida.
So one of Georgia and Tennessee is going to go to 2 losses for sure. Tennessee's hosting Kentucky this week. Georgia's got Florida. So you got those teams. You got Georgia, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, all have 1 loss behind A&M, and then Alabama, Ole Miss with the 2 conference losses. It's kind of where things sit. It's a wild thing. I think there's a potential of a lot of different outcomes, scenarios. Of course, A&M and Texas are going to play into the last game of the
Yeah.
season
How
Saturday after
about that?
Thanksgiving. How cool would that be if Texas
Yeah.
wins out, A&M wins out, and you could be playing for a spot to go to Atlanta. That would be pretty cool. After not playing that game for so long, and then have that much on the line the first time they come back. Um, and even so, it could have ramifications. I think if A&M wins out, and let's say even if Texas beats them, I think A&M would still make the playoff. But let's say if A&M were to drop one, and it's A&M Texas with one loss playing the Saturday, not only would they be both be playing for a chance to go to Atlanta for the SC championship, they'd probably both be playing for a winner gets into the playoff. So there's potential in 5 weeks from now that game, Texas A&M, is going to have huge ramifications if both teams take care of business.
Yeah, that was a game that a lot of people in the college football world circled on their calendar to begin with because like you said, it had been so long since the game had been played. Not played since A&M joined the SEC, and in Kyle Field and Texas, everybody saw the potential and finishing last year in the playoffs, and then now this year. But man, I tell you what, both teams trending upward like they are, like you said, that has the potential, and I think it will be a huge matchup down there in College Station. Like you said, trip to Atlanta and the playoffs on the line.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. There's a scenario. There's so many scenarios. I think the SEC needs to go to 9 conference games. I think that could make it so made clear if certain tiebreakers happen and certain people get left out of the SEC championship game. We'll see how it unfolds. Still a lot of ball left. Still a whole another month, 4 or 5 weeks to go in the season. I think 9 game schedule would cancel out some of these need for all these tiebreakers. But they're locked in 8 games this year, 8 games next year. Maybe after that is when we'll see a 9 game schedule. I think the SEC will need it. I know why coaches don't. It's hard enough playing 8 SEC opponents,
Mm-hmm.
and 9 adding another one. Taking out a lower tier game, adding the fans love it because it's another big game. But I understand the coaches don't want to add another tough game, but I think it's needed when you have this many teams in a conference. And there's also a scenario if Oregon wins out, Oregon could win out in the Big Ten and be undefeated and not make the conference championship game. Be the #1 team in the country, be undefeated, and not make the Big Ten championship. If Indiana wins out, and if Penn State beats Ohio State this week and Penn State wins out, Indiana and Penn State would go to the Big Ten championship game, and Oregon would be sitting at home, undefeated, ranked #1 in the country. So some of these
I'd
tiebreakers need
kind
to
of
get
like to
worked
see
out.
that.
I would love it. I think it'd be hilarious because then Oregon would get the 5 seed because they couldn't get the #1 seed because you got to be a conference champion.
And if I'm Oregon, I'm going, hey, yeah, we'd love to do it, but if it works out where we don't, you mean we don't have that extra game? We have extra time to prepare, extra rest, let some of these bodies heal. You could be looking at a really dangerous Oregon Ducks team. We know how dangerous they are offensively on the field as it is, but then you give them extra time to rest and recoup and a little chip on their wing. I think that #5 seed at Oregon. Like I said, obviously you want to win, you want to be the Big Ten champion and this and that, but silver lining in that is if not, you're getting some needed time off, time to prepare, and you're going in there just guns blazing. And look out, I would not want to play Oregon coming in as a #5 seed.
No, I wouldn't. So interested to see how things play out. Still a lot of undefeateds. You still got Army. Navy lost this week to Notre Dame, but Army's still undefeated. Indiana, Pittsburgh Panthers are still undefeated in the ACC. Also with Miami. The Big 12 still has BYU and Iowa State undefeated. So a lot of ball. The meat of the schedule is coming down the pike here in the last 5 weeks of the season. It's the best. November's the best time for football. Looking at games this week, only 2 ranked versus ranked games. #4 Ohio State at #3 Penn State. We'll get to see how real Penn State is. Ohio State's already got 1 loss. That was on the road to Oregon. James Franklin I don't believe he's ever beat Ohio State or Michigan since he's been at Penn State. That's the two hurdles he's never been able to overcome. So we'll see how good they are. They're ranked number 3 in the country right now. Ohio State number 4. Ohio State favored by 3 in that one. So that's going to be a good test. The other first ranked game is number 18 Pittsburgh, undefeated Pittsburgh Panthers at number 20 SMU. SMU lucky to have rolled out of that win against Duke last week with a block kick and then scoring the touchdown in overtime to get the win. SMU undefeated in the ACC. So this is 2 unbeatens in the ACC going at it. But this is the kind of week, Jimmy. It's Halloween weekend, and we only have 2 ranked first ranks. It's kind of weekend. You're not expecting a lot to happen. This could be upset Saturday in college football. A couple teams going on the road. We already talked about A&M going on the road. South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. That's a rivalry game. So could be some unexpected upsets this Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. Like you said, it's usually those weekends, unless it's week 0, and even every now and then that's exciting. But these weekends where you don't think there's a lot going to happen, a lot on the line, that's when some of the wildest stuff has happened. So yeah, I'm excited. Like you said, once November hits, every game is meaningful because you're in the meat of conference. Stuff starting to shape up. We're getting ready for not only Thanksgiving, but then we'll start to get some projections. You'll get a clearer picture. So yeah, this Saturday, I'm just as excited for it as I am, like I said, every weekend going forward. Just super pumped.
Super pumped. All right. Now on to the NFL. Oh, well, we got to talk about this. So next week, next Tuesday is a big day. November 5th is a big day in this country. The college football playoff rankings are coming out on Tuesday, November 5th.
Right.
I don't think anything else is going on in America that day. So I'm sure everybody will be locked in for the first ever, for the first college football playoff rankings. Be interesting to see where they think.
Yeah, I know I will be.
Yeah, I'll be locked in to that. I won't be worried about anything else that day. So it's a big day in the country. Next Tuesday, November 5th, college football playoff rankings, first time of the year, will be released.
Wait.
I'm sure their ratings will be super high, given the other stuff happening that day. But anyway, so we'll talk about that on next week's show. NFL. Is the Cowboys season over? They're 3-4. End up losing by 6 to the Niners because of a 2-touchdown late, and even had the ball with a chance to drive down and win. But you knew just Dak, no pressures on him. Boom, 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 2 touchdowns like that. Pressures on him to win the game. Doesn't complete a pass. Goes 0 for 4. Turnover on downs. Typical Cowboys. This season, 3-4, the Commanders get another win. The Eagles look like they're catching stride. Not a lot of hope for the Dallas Cowboys at the Atlanta Falcons this week. Atlanta favored by 2.5. Jimmy, I predict the Cowboys be 5-5 after 10 games. I think they'd be lucky to be 5-5 now after 10 games because after the Falcons, I think they're at home against the Texans and home against the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're at the Commanders. Is the Cowboys? What do you think? Is Cowboys season over?
Man, I think this Atlanta game. I think every game here on out is going to have to be it needs to be attacked as a must-win, both for the Cowboys and for Mike McCarthy if he wants to keep his job. I don't see. We've dug ourselves such a giant hole. I don't see how we get out of it. Again, everybody loves it when the Cowboys are down. Merritt's team. We got Jerry and Charlotte on the air with doing Ford commercials, and stuff like that. So, they love to hate us. And this year, it's so hard. Some years it's hard to be a Cowboys fan. This is one of those years too. But, people saw it. We talked about early in the show.
We made no moves in the offseason. No moves.
No moves in the offseason. We talked about spring training. There was not a lot of people in the stands there in Oxnard. Not a lot of people going out to see it. They talked about how vacant.
There's no buzz around this team at all. No
right.
buzz.
no buzz around the team. And so I think you've got to, everything's a must win. This has got to be, you're fighting for your life. Um, but I don't know. I don't see how we pull out of this hole. If we get to a point to where it's just kind of hopeless, I'm not above tanking whatsoever. It's a business decision at that point. And let's just draft every win. Once we're out of the playoffs, every win after that just hurts our draft position.
What
So
what percentage would you put the Cowboys' chances of making the playoffs? 3-4. They're a couple games out of first. We got like you said, the next 4 games. I mean, you're going to have to go 2-2 the next 4. You're going to have to be 5-6 after 11 games. Like I said, we're at the Falcons, then we're home against the Texans, home against the Eagles, at the Commanders, and then the schedule lightens up for about 3 or 4 games. I think
right now, 50%. I think 50% right now, just because we still have to play Washington twice, and we still got to play Philly twice.
that's
And if
true.
we somehow, right now 50%, that number drops significantly once we get if Washington, Philly beat us once, I think that number that we're done. But right now, I'll put it at 50.
I
I think
think
we
you'd
still
have to
got a
win.
chance.
Yeah, I said you'd have to go 2-2 the next 4, but those two might have to be the Eagles and Commanders. Those might have to be your 2 wins.
Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 50-50. I'd probably have it less than 50-50. But again, you still got 4 games against those 2 teams ahead of you in the division. What are the chances Mike McCarthy gets fired at the end of the season?
Right now, probably 90,
Yeah,
85%.
I'd say it's pretty high. Jerry Jones is
Gary's already went out on the radio and talked about his play calling. And then McCarthy said, I don't agree with that. And I'm going, okay, but I'm going to go back to the Romo stinks, get him out of here. Dak stinks, get him out of here. I'm going, okay, who's out there that's better that we could get? And everybody
Well, Bill
wants to go.
Belichick's out there. Everybody keeps saying that name. I don't know how Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones would get along, but
That's my point. That is my point. Bill Belichick is not going to come in and play for someone who I just don't see them getting along. Robert Kraft was really outside. I mean, he
he Bill
really was hands
Belichick
off.
took care of all football operations. In Dallas, Jerry Jones takes care of all football operations, and you're just the coach. You're just a coach. And that's not how Bill Belichick operates. But apparently, I keep reading stories that Belichick's interested, that Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick have always liked each other. I just don't see how it would work, that makes sense because Parcells was the coach too, and maybe they're getting Parcells and Belichick to talk. Maybe we'll see. I think McCarthy. I think this is his last season in Dallas. Even if we make the playoffs, and there's no way this team wins a Super Bowl. And even if somehow they make the playoffs, there's no way they win a playoff game. I don't think. So I think McCarthy's after this year. So
yeah, I think we're done.
I think he's done because Jerry's not going to take the blame for not making moves as the general manager, and he's not going to take the blame for making Dak Prescott the highest paid player in NFL history. He's going to blame that on the coach. And then the quickest way to get fired in Dallas is don't agree with something Jerry Jones says. You're basically Mike McCarthy might be doing it on purpose. He might be trying to get out.
He could take that monogrammed robe with him.
Yep.
If I was him, I'd be like, "You're not getting that back, Jerry. I'm sorry."
It's a dark. I think last couple months of the season. It's going to be dark for the Cowboys. I don't have any hope in this team. I haven't had any hope. We're very optimistic Cowboy fans. Neither one of us have been optimistic at all. I just haven't seen it. I don't feel it. There's no buzz. Nothing. I see this team. They're not as good as last year or the years prior. They're just not. And
we've got so many things that so many things we need to fix. We need offensive line help, defensive line help,
running back.
running back, wide receiver. We need one more wide receiver to complement CD.
We
Tolbert's
need
good. I
we
mean, we
need
just
defensive linemen who can stop the run, who can set an
linemen.
edge.
We need about 1 to 2 more linebackers.
Yep.
We've got so many things that need fixing that it just
And we could have done that with that $60 million a year we're paying Dak. Look what
we could spread that around
Sam
somewhere.
Darnold and Baker Mayfield are doing, making a third of what Dak's making. So we'll see how the Cowboys go. We got picks, and we got a speaking of Cowboys bouncing back. Even though I'll say this, it's the most Cowboys thing ever if they go and win on the road against Atlanta
Of
this week.
course. Mhm.
And so I'm probably gonna have a pick on that. But we got picks. We got to bounce back. We were both heading into last week over 500. Both of us had losing weeks. First time in a while we both had losing weeks. I
Yeah.
was 2-6 last week. You were 6-9. So now we're both one game under 500. So we got to have a bounce back. I got 7. I'm going 3 college, 4 NFL this week.
I've got 7 college, 5 NFL.
All right. Jimmy's sticking with the big weeks.
Yep.
All right. I'll let you start it off. We'll start with the college bets.
Thursday night, Tulane and Charlotte over 55. Tulane's offense, we know what they can do. Charlotte's got a little bit of an offense themselves. It's in Charlotte. I think they're going to come out pumped. But I think Tulane just over 55. I don't think 55 is enough points for these two teams.
All right. Duke at Miami. People keep wanting to write Duke off that they're this terrible team. They only have 2 losses on the year, and both losses were very close games. Miami's undefeated, but they've squeaked by, had a lot of one possession wins. I know Miami's at home, but there's something about this Duke team. They play hard. They keep playing games close. They play good defense. Miami's favored by 20. Give me Duke plus 20. I think it's just too many points. I like the Blue Devils to keep it within 20. So I got Duke plus 20.
I like it. Same game. Give me over 54. Miami wins close ones, and usually because they've got to put up points. Everyone in the ACC is viewing, Miami and Clemson. They're at the top there. Duke is right there with them, and I think over 54 is my play in this because I think Duke is going to come out. I mean, look what they did with SMU.
Yep.
That over hits last week, and I think it hits again this week.
Well, I'll tell you this, Duke, and you could. That was one of your winning bets last week. You had the over in that game. Duke's going to score about 20 points. I mean, they've scored, give or take, within 3 or 4, 20 every game. So Duke will find a way to score 20. Miami, I think, can win this game 30-20. We'd both cover. I think it's very possible. Or excuse me, not 30-20, but like 34-20.
34, 35, 20.
If Duke kicks a field goal, give me like 34-23. I think it's very, very possible. And hey, maybe Duke scores more than 20 finally. Miami's defense isn't that good, and their offense is pretty explosive. So,
yeah, I could see Duke, Malik Murphy, coming out kind of guns blazing, really trying to send a message. And I mean, golly, they are one terrible 2-point conversion away from beating SMU.
Being right there in the thick of it in the ACC.
Yeah. So I think the over. Duke Miami over, and I like that plus 20. I might take a little action on that too.
All right. Oklahoma State, they've had a rough season. Unreal how bad they've been with the team that they have. I think they only have so many home games left. They're hosting Arizona State. It's a tight number. I think Oklahoma State guts out a win. Give me the Oklahoma State Cowboys plus 3 at home against Arizona State. I think this is – I don't know if this is Gundy's last season in Stillwater, but I think this is our ass is on the line, and Oklahoma State, we're not going out like this. We're going to find a way to win a couple games. Oklahoma State plus 3 at home against Arizona State.
I have that exact same bet for the exact same reason. It's homecoming also.
Didn't even know that. Perfect.
Boone Pickens is going to be rocking. I also have Oklahoma State plus 3. Arizona State's not that good. Neither is Oklahoma State. I really wish Arkansas was getting ready to play them now.
No kidding.
But yeah, I like Oklahoma State plus 3. And then I've got two picks in the same game, Ole
Okay.
Miss and Arkansas. Give me over 53 and give me Arkansas +7. Ole Miss offensively, I say this, and then they'll just come out and explode, which I guess helps my over. But Ole Miss offensively has not looked like this juggernaut that they were the first couple weeks of
No.
the season. Arkansas destroys Mississippi State, but even as bad as Mississippi State is, still gave up 20 something points. So I'm going, okay, well, that just helps my over. But I think this is a close game. 38-35, something like that. And so I think Arkansas +7 and the over 53. Those are my plays in that game.
I like both of those, especially the over. I mean, when Arkansas's offense gets cooking, I mean, they can score in a hurry. Ole Miss, it's funny how you said that because as soon as they started playing Power Five opponents, it's amazing how non-explosive that offense actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see this being a shootout. Could be a good old-fashioned shootout. Arkansas at home. Is it in Fayetteville, right?
It's in Fayetteville.
Yeah, I can see Arkansas. Maybe outright winning. Could
Love
be.
it.
All right. My last college game, it's a late night one. Me and you talked about this one last week. It was who they're playing. It was Nevada, Hawaii. I'm gonna go against Nevada. We might have had a late pick on Nevada, Hawaii, and we're on the wrong side of that one. So I'm gonna get I'm out for blood. Nevada spurned us last week late, trying to recoup some losses. I'm gonna go against them. I'm going to take Colorado State. Colorado State was 0-3 in preseason. They got into conference and they're looking pretty good, or 0-2 preseason, and they've gotten conference play. Colorado State is at the top of right there towards the top of the Mountain West. I think Colorado State's the better football team. It's in Nevada, but I think Colorado State's got the more experienced quarterback, and I think their offense is better. Colorado State -1.5 at Nevada Saturday night.
I like it. Nevada's garbage.
Yep.
Okay, for my last two, A&M on the road at South Carolina. A&M, give me A&M -2. I think A&M finds a way to win. Their defense, man. I tell you what,
Good.
one,
It's really good.
oh boy, he's pretty chippy. Number
Turner
5.
is this? Yeah, Shamir Turner, number 5.
Yeah, and he was elbowing and stuff
Yes.
preseason. He's lucky they'd missed that punch.
Yeah.
When the running back was down, he came in, throwing a punch. I think he shouldn't have headbutted Nussmeier. That's a dummy play. But also, Nussmeier was a clear flop. I think the ref was just trying to, I'm sure, heard chirping back and forth and probably trying to send a message, hey, cut it out. I don't think he should have been flagged for that because it was clearly a flop, but whatever. That guy and the guy from Purdue transfer. A&M's defensive line I really like, and I think they're going to be all over whoever South Carolina wants to trot out there. So I think they get it done, A&M -2. And then Pitt and SMU, one of the ranked matchups this week. Give me over 58. Both of these teams can score. SMU favored by a touchdown and a half, 7.5. If I was going to have to pick the spread, I'd take the ponies. I'd buy the half a point and go -7. But I'm not taking that one. I'm taking the points. Give me over 58 in Pitt and SMU. And give me A&M -2.
I like that. Back to your South Carolina A&M. Is there not a more Jekyll and Hyde team than South Carolina?
Dude.
I mean, they'll be good and then they'll be terrible. I mean, they were awful against who was it? Ole Miss and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll play lights out against Oklahoma. And then who'd they play last week? Or maybe that was 2 weeks ago, Oklahoma. In Alabama. That's what I'm thinking of. I mean, they played Alabama to the wire. They blow out Oklahoma. But then when they play like Ole Miss, they get blown out. When they play Kentucky. I mean, they're just Jekyll and Hyde. You never know what South Carolina team you're going to get. Pitt SMU over. I like that one a lot. I think SMU, they're playing with house money now after they should have. They had 6 turnovers and won that game last week against Duke. I think they're going to tighten it up on offense, and I think the Ponies are going to score a lot of points on Saturday. All right, NFL. I got 4 NFL. How many did you got?
5.
Okay. All right. Speaking of the Cowboys, I'm not even going to take the points. Atlanta's -2.5. I think the Cowboys win this football game. So put me on the record. You get more juice if you bet the Cowboys money line. Put me on the record. Cowboys win this football game. Cowboys money line for a best bet.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to stick with that same game. Give me over 51. I'm going against the trend here, Trey. Why?
Yeah.
Because look at what we did. It's a very good San Francisco defense. Okay. Our defense can't stop the run. Falcons, pretty good running back. You've probably heard of him. I can't think of his name. Pretty good tight end.
I think he has
Bijan
his own
Robinson.
mustard company.
Yeah. Yeah. Dijon.
Yeah, Bijan
Bijan
Mustard.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts at tight end. Don't forget about the Kirk Cousins has played really well.
Yes.
And I think that just bodes terrible for us. It's on the road. Uh, I think I think both us and Atlanta score enough points. I think this is close to like we saw against Baltimore and like we saw last week against San Francisco, 30-20, 30s and 20s, maybe both high 20s. So give me over 51. Again, going against that trend of 50 points or more, bet the under.
Yeah.
I don't know how we stop Atlanta when we can't stop Brock Purdy and one guy, George Kittle. That's it. They ran all over us with a third string running back. We hurt Mason, and then they turn loose some kid from Louisville nobody had ever heard of, and he looks like a stud. They
Yep.
got a staple there in San Francisco, and between Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, big day, which means a lot of points. So give me over 51.
I think the Cowboys should start in the hurry up offense at the beginning of the game. I think we're at our best when it's just quick, simple. Dak doesn't have to think, and we just go. That's
I'll
my
be honest something, man. He won't run. I think he's gun shy still from that
Yep.
leg injury, which hey, I've never broken my leg, knock on wood. Hopefully never will. I can't imagine, doing that and then trying to go play high level anything, much less be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. But there's several times, man, where I'm going, just take off and go. And he won't do it. And I don't know. Like I said, we're broken this year. And I just think that's going to lead to
We
points.
are, but I think it's the Cowboys' most Cowboy thing ever. We're going to find
Of course
a way.
it is.
I think
Of course it is.
to win this game. All right, my next one. It's the Browns. Browns beat the Ravens last week.
How about that?
Famous Jameis Winston starting at quarterback, and he basically throws a game-ending interception. The guy drops it. Their next play, he makes a dime of a throw to win the game. That's Jameis Winston football. Welcome to the Jameis Winston experience. I think he is what the Browns needed. Remember, at the beginning of the season, everybody had a lot of hype about the Browns. Made the playoffs last year, and then Deshaun Watson just terrible. Well, I think this is still a good football team. They just needed Jameis Winston playing instead of Deshaun Watson. They're hosting the Chargers, and they're getting 1.5. So give me the Cleveland Browns at plus 1.5 over the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers are surprisingly a bad football team. They're not good, man. Like Justin Herbert, man. Of course, you lose Eckler, you lose some of your weapons, but golly, man, they need help out there. I like that. I got one Jets and Texans. Give me the Texans plus 2. Dude, the Jets are terrible.
The Jets
Thursday
are
night
bad.
game.
Talking about
Jets
bad
are bad.
The Jets are bad.
Texans are good. Stephon Diggs is out for the year, but I think the Texans find a way to win this game. Give me Texans plus 2.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I mean, the Jets are 2-6.
Terrible.
Texans
I had a
are 6-2.
preseason bet on them to not make the playoffs again. And I think this is 2 years in a row they're going to pay me. Had it last year too. And within the first 8 seconds of their offensive possession, when Rodgers went down, I went, well, that's cashed.
Yeah, we talked about that. It was the best bet of all time.
All time. Because I said, I know Zach Wilson ain't taking them to the playoffs. So done.
All right, Cardinals hosting the Bears. I think the Bears with the rookie quarterback, after losing on a Hail Mary, I think it's hard. This is a week-to-week league, and I think that's hard for them to put that one away and get ready to play another football game. And the Cardinals are up and down. They'll sneak up and bite you. They can score a lot of points. I think the Cardinals are at home, minus 1.5. I think the Cardinals get the win over the Bears.
I agree with that, man. I don't have a pick in it, but you saw Caleb Williams' reaction, hollering, yelling.
Yeah.
He definitely seems like the type of guy that blames his teammates. So yeah, I don't think he's got the right headspace, all this wanting ownership before the draft and
Yeah.
this and that. Yeah, I think the Cardinals win this game too. That's a great pick. Commanders and Giants. Commanders -4. Commanders are riding that emotional high. I think Jaden Daniels is good enough. He's going to eliminate some of the mistakes he had there against the Bears. Giants are just terrible, and I think the Commanders come out and get a convincing win here. So give me Commanders -4.
And let's not forget the Giants suck. They're terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, my last bet. It's the Seahawks at home against the Rams. The Rams snuck one out against the Vikings last week, Thursday night. The Seahawks are a pretty good football team. They play pretty good defense. They got Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, the running back, Kenan Walker is playing well for the Seahawks. I like them at home against the Rams. So give me the Seahawks plus 1.5. Getting the 1.5. So Seahawks plus 1.5 at home against the Rams. I think the wrong team's favorite. I think the Rams, because of their win Thursday night, is getting too much momentum. Vegas giving them too much credit, or too many people placing bets on the Rams. I like the Seahawks. I think they win outright, but give me Seahawks plus 1.5.
I think that's a good bet. The Rams are a couple injuries and a trade away from, being right down there with us. So my last two bets. First one, Lions and Packers. Give me Lions -3. Jordan Love with a groin injury. Says he's probably going to play, but will he be the same guy he's been? And the Lions, I mean, golly, I don't know any team in the NFC that's going to be able to stand up to them unless it's a
No,
healthy San Francisco, and they're not healthy. So give me Lions -3. I think they dismantle the Packers, and it's in Lambeau, but I don't think Dan Quinn cares. So give me Lions -3 over the Packers. My last one, Broncos and Ravens. Give me under 47. Broncos are one of the best defenses in the league. Ravens last in the league in passing defense, but Bo Nix just doesn't have that many weapons. I think he'll be good in this league. I just don't think he's good yet.
they don't have any
And
weapons.
I think the Ravens will do enough to hold them out of the end zone a whole lot. And the Broncos, I think their defense, like I said, it's elite. So give me under 47, Broncos and Ravens.
All right, here's the Gridiron Grind recap. First, we'll do Jimmy college bets. Thursday's got Tulane and Charlotte over 55, Duke Miami over 54, Oklahoma State +3, Ole Miss Arkansas over 53, Arkansas +7, Texas A&M -2 on the road at South Carolina, and Pitt SMU over 58. For Jimmy's NFL bets, he's got Texans +2 Thursday night against the Jets, Cowboys Falcons over 51, Commanders -4, Lions -3, Broncos Ravens under 47. Myself, I got Duke +20 at Miami, Oklahoma State +3, Colorado State -1.5. My NFL bets, I got Cowboys money line against the Falcons, Browns +1.5, Cardinals -1.5, and Seahawks +1.5. That's our show. Thanks for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We'll be back again next week with another show, as we'll be in November, college football playoff rankings to talk about, and get ready for the home stretch of the regular season of college football, and also as we make the home stretch for the NFL. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week, and have a great weekend.
See
See
ya.
you.